What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the shed. My name is John McGrath. This is my YouTube channel, Man in Shed, and this is part 12 of this custom guitar build. Now we're on to shaping the body, so that's what this episode is going to be about. So we're going to do our elbow carve, our belly carve. We're going to carve in our relief here, carve these horns front and back. We need to continue our curves into our neck, so that's something we have to do. Mostly what we'll be using is just foils, rasp, sandpaper. We will be using this, this is Shinto rasp. It's a Japanese saw rasp. I highly recommend you look at getting yourselves one of these if you're into this type of work. It's fantastic for removing material quickly, and you can get a nice flat finish with it as well. An excellent tool. The Japanese make some fantastic woodworking tools. So yeah, there's not much to this video. It's not very technical, but anything I do need to explain, I will explain to you. And yeah, let's start as we always start. I'll get you in for a closer look. We'll do a quick run through of what we're about to do, and then we'll crack on with it. So this is part 12. Let's do it. Right, a quick look at how we're going to carve this guitar then. So we have our line marked in for our elbow carve. We have a relief cut in here. I just have some lines drawn around these horns. So I want to carve the edge of this guitar all the way around. And I want to get a carve into these horns as well and get them shaped. It'll become obvious what I'm trying to do as we're going through this. It'll be a little bit more easy to understand, I suppose, as it's developing. Then we have our belly carve. So I have that just roughly marked out here. So what we will do is I'll get my gauge, I'll mark half the depth of the body of the guitar. I'll just scribe a line here, and we will work from this line to that line then, all the way around. And that will be the same then for our elbow carve. So again, we come down half the depth of the body. I'll just scribe a line around here, and then we'll work from this line to this line. And that's how we do it, and we just fade it in as we go. So again, nice and simple. There's not much explanation in this, it's just a lot of carving. I'm probably going to carve this portion of the neck as well, so I want to get that in. But the first job we have to do is work these curves. Now I'm going to work these curves on the spindle sander. So before I carve any of the back or any of the front, while the body is nice and flat and square, I'll be able to work that on the spindle sander. So that's the first thing we'll do. So we need to take out this piece here, hopefully you can see that, and this piece here, and make sure that curve is nice and round up into our neck. So yeah, that's our first thing. Let's get on it. So there's our depth of our carves marked out, so I just have it roughly drawn here. So there's our elbow carve. You can see it's going to come down to about here and just fade on up, and here again, and this is our belly carve here. So you can see I'll be taking all this out down here, along here. Again, it'll become more obvious as I'm beginning to take this out. You'll see what I'm doing. These are just rough guidelines for me, just so I can see that I'm not going too far with the carve. But it's kind of an organic process. As you begin to carve, you can see the shape begin to take place, and you can see what you want and what way it's looking the best. So it mightn't follow these lines exactly, but they're just a reference line for me. So let's take this to the spindle sander now, and let's get cracking with this part. Okay, we're on our spindle sander. While our guitar body is nice and flat, we can use this. You've seen me use this many times before. It's just a great tool for sanding guitar bodies. So what we want to do is we want to work this curve in here. So we want to take that curve around to our neck, and we have some material to remove here just to get this, that it's one continuous flow to our neck, and the same on this side. So I want to remove that material there, if you can see that. And then we can just measure our collars then. I think this guy is going to get us in there, so we'll pop him on, and we'll get cracking. worked our curves. We removed the bulk of the material on the bobbin sander or spindle sander, whatever way you want to call them. So now it's going to be a case of our elbow carve and our belly carve. I want to remove these two first because the outside carve will be blended in off these. I just want to see what way these are going to work out before I carve these horns and stuff, so I can see what way I'm going to blend it back into here. So this is now going to be a lot of work and a lot of elbow grease and a lot of sweat of me using the rasp. For you guys, it's going to be some music and some time lapse. So enjoy. Right guys, if you can see that there, like I said, at my widest point is also my lowest point. So I worked it from this line down to this line, and we just move our rasp around and we just fade it back up to our top here, nice and gradually, keeping this flat as possible. And we come up a little bit more severely on this side because from our widest point to our highest point is a shorter distance. So we just want to work that up. But so long as we keep that nice and flat here, you're good to go. And a lot of it is just feel. So you'll work it as you go. It's not that difficult. So now we're going to move on to the belly carve, and it's more or less the same idea. So we'll work this next. Again, a lot of material we remove with the rasp. Our lowest point will be around here, so we'll work this line to here. We want to get a dip in this, so it's a nice curve in from here to our center and curve back out again. And that'll happen naturally as we follow this guy anyway. So that's next. Let's do that. Right guys, just on the belly carve, as you're carving it, I'm working to the center from this side, and I'm working back to the center from this side. Obviously, the center of my curve is my deepest point, so I want to work everything into that. So right here, at the curve of our guitar, is going to be our deepest point. So we're going to work into that. We're going to work this section from this line to this line, and then we're going to curve out of it to our edges and reduce that curve as we go. Again, this is about feel. So work in from this side, and then working back to it from this side. So we want to work the curve in and in this way. And then we'll just bring it gradually up to the line the whole way around. Again, this will be our deepest point, this section here. So we'll work from the line that we carved to here, and everything else then will be reduced. Again, this is all about feel. As you run your hand across it, you'll feel how smooth you are and how good the curve is. And you want it nice and smooth, and a nice curve that you can just run your hand across. Again, you want to kind of keep it as flat and as straight as possible. So yeah, it's pretty easy. Again, really this is about eyeballing and feel. It's not precise work. You can get very precise with it. There's quicker ways of doing this. You can use a grinder with a grinding disc on it, with an abrasive wheel. It's just a sandpaper disc. I have some there. So you can use these. These will do this in minutes, but are very aggressive and they create a lot of dust. You can take this to the bandsaw if you have one, and you can cut that curve out of it, which will do a lot of the work for you. The same with the elbow cut. But I wanted to do as much as by hand as possible. I kind of committed to that at the start of this series. So I just wanted to show you guys using hand tools. And I actually really enjoy using hand tools. It's just feels more of an organic process, I suppose. And yeah, it's something that you can get a hold of too, is a couple of hand tools. You don't need many tools to build a guitar. So yeah, and also with the curve, you can begin to see that the grain, because we're cutting cross sections into our grain, you can see the curve in the grain too. So it looks like the grain is actually curving into our curved forest, but that's just the cross section. As we curve this, it almost looks like it grew that way, you know. So that's a nice thing. When that's oiled, you'll get to see all these curves heading into our center point, because that's where we're cutting the cross section on that grain. So yeah, so I'll continue on with this. I'm going to shut up talking now and get back to the grindstone. Right guys, so we have our Elmo carve done and we have our belly carve done. Now, it was a nice and easy process. It's just working it with the Shinto rasp, and that removes a lot of materials pretty quickly. Then we just finished off with a foil and then just moved to our sandpaper. And as you're working it, you can just feel then for imperfections. You'll feel them with your hand when you're running around, but you can see the design we have there now that we drew earlier on. It follows those two lines almost, not quite, but almost. So they were reference lines. Our belly carve then, obviously, that's our thinnest point here, so that's our deepest part of our curve. And we just work a curve into that then. Again, it's all by feel and by eye. But again, your hand is very sensitive, so just run it across it. You will feel those imperfections. There's a little bit here. I can just feel a little dip in it here, so we want to work that. Small little bit here. Again, we'll work that out. But our carves are in now. That'll all be done on the final sand of this guitar body. Now it's on to, I want to shape this groove here, and then I want to shape these horns, and I want to work an edge around this guitar. Normally what would you do on a guitar like a Strat or something, you get a round over bit on your router and you just run that around the edge and just round over that edge all the way around the horns. But because I have shaped these horns like this, I want to put a carve into these horns, and I want to keep that consistent then the whole way around the body. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not 100% sure what it's going to look like yet. It'll develop as I'm doing it, and I'll know more then. So I'm going to take a quick break for now because I'm wrecked and I'm dehydrated and I need a drink. So we will be back for part 2 of this episode. Right, so on to this guy next. I'm just going to move the initial bit of material with the rasp. Then I'm going to get the round foil and start to put the curve into it. And possibly we might use some of the sanding drums from the bobbin sander just to work the curve as well. So let's get on that. Let's see if you can see that, guys. Right, so I have my initial carve work in, so I'm going to base my horn kind of carve off this. So I want to carve and just a nice chamfer around the body, so I want to work something like this in with these curves as well and around the edges. And I might just put another little one here just to mirror this on this side, and then continue this around the horns here as well. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to work this one first. We'll see what it turns out like, and hey, hopefully it'll be nice. So let's do that.
sure does feel good. This guitar is going to play like butter. I like it, mate. Fits like a glove. Alright, I'm pretty happy with that heel. Obviously we've got a good bit more work to go and we have to marry in our neck. But yeah, that feels really nice. And we've access to our frets here. It's just nice to play and hold. Yep, pretty happy with that.
I think we leave it there for episode 12. We got a good bit of work done. We have it all sanded and carved and shaped. Obviously we have a lot of sanding to go before any finish is applied to this guitar, but we have our elbow carved in, we have our belly carved in, it feels pretty good. We have our heel carved and sanded. We have our access here, we have our horn shaped. So yeah, this guitar is feeling really comfortable. I really like the access up here. I really like how the heel feels in hand, so I'm pretty happy with that. So next up, hopefully it'll be fretboard and shape neck, and then we're on the home straight. So as always, any comments, leave them below. Like and subscribe, it helps out a lot. And yeah, that's it. I'm going to go take a shower now because I've done a lot of sweating in this shed today. So that's it. I've been John McGrath. This is a custom guitar build. It's my YouTube channel, Man in Shed. Now I gotta get out of here. We'll see you in the next one.